Hello and welcome to Learning with Lulu. In this video we are going to be doing a chapter summary of chapter 11 in the Scarlet letter. Before we get started, if you have been using these chapter summary videos and you are finding them useful, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and share with others that you know may benefit. So, chapter 11, Roger Chillingworth, which, as a little reminder, is Hester's actual husband, who has returned going under a pseudonym and made her promise not to reveal his identity, and he said he was going to figure out who Pearl's father was, so who was the other partner in their committing the sin of adultery. And in the previous chapter, the text did not tell us what Chillingworth saw on Dimmesdale's chest when Chillingworth looked, but we can assume and make some educated guesses based on what the text is implying. If you are a little lost on that, essentially we can assume that Chillingworth saw a scarlet letter A also on Dimmesdale's chest, in the same way that Hester wears a scarlet letter, except Reverend Dimmesdale's is buried, it's hidden. He is hiding it and it's a secret. But he is Pearl's father. And so Chillingworth in chapter 11, he knows this. And he continues to not reveal what he knows, but kind of, I guess you could say, almost mentally torment Dimmesdale a bit. This is Chillingworth's way of taking revenge. Dimmesdale does feel this discomfort around Chillingworth, around his doctor, but because he can't logically point to any one thing done or any one thing said, he kind of brushes aside this feeling of just disgust and hate that he has toward his doctor. But there's nothing rational to back up his feelings, so he brushes them aside. In his suffering, under Chillingworth's torment, he does deliver really powerful sermons that are at times even a confession, not so directly as to say, I am the other adulterer in Hester's sin. However, he is trying to bare his chest and say, oh, I'm not, as spotless as I may appear. And the congregation, or you could even say the audience, they just chalk it up to him being so humble, and it just makes him all the more venerable in their eyes. And so he's tormented. He has a guilty heart. When it talked about his illness and it said he would clutch his chest, essentially, not only is he clutching his heart, which is full of guilt, no doubt, but he was also clutching the scarlet letter. And so he doesn't directly confess, so he's just living in this suffering, and he's being tormented by his doctor in ways that he can't really name, and he's miserable. Far more miserable than, well, the text would make it seem far more miserable than Hester, who has been ostracized by the community initially, but now, she's borne her shame, she's turned it into something less shameful, and she's doing fine, whereas Dimmesdale, it keeps him up at night, and it says that he even starts to see visions including Hester and Pearl. In one vision, he sees Hester, and he sees Pearl dressed in her scarlet garb, so the living embodiment of the scarlet letter. In this vision, he sees Hester point to her scarlet letter, and then she points to the same spot on his chest. And it doesn't say he has a scarlet letter in his vision, but she points to where his would be. Even though he knows that this isn't, a real moment in the sense of like Hester being there physically he knows that he's having these delusions, and yet he puts a lot of stock into them, and he can't find comfort in, I guess you could say, in the places that religion says that you should be able to. He's not finding comfort in the Bible, and he feels like the whole universe is a lie, you know, is turned against him. A little bit of a trigger warning here in regards to self-harm. He is so miserable that he does take to harming himself physically. It says that he fasts for extended periods of time and holds these all-night vigils. You know, he stays awake all night. I believe it even says that he will whip himself. And again, I've said this in previous videos, I am not a psychologist. I am a English teacher. Those are my credentials. As a living, breathing human being who's had at least a few decades on Earth, I am going to suggest that perhaps he is harming himself physically as a way to try and release his feelings, like release his spiritual torment. Like maybe if his physical body is in pain, his spirit will be able to release some of that pain. That's my understanding of Dimmesdale's actions. Again, if you are finding yourself triggered by this or any sort of intrusive thoughts from this particular section or this being included in the summary, please make sure to reach out to someone who has the professional expertise to help you process and take good care of yourself. So anyway, Dimmesdale is miserable, and he starts to use that as an outlet. The chapter ends with Dimmesdale. During one of his all-night vigils, he gets this idea that he's just like, this is going to help me feel better. And the idea is that he is going to go stand on the scaffold where years before Hester stood with infant Pearl and was publicly shamed and punished for committing her sin of adultery. And so right now, middle of the night, he is like, this is what I'm going to do too. I'm going to go stand on this scaffold out for everyone to see, even though it's the middle of the night, so no one's going to see. So we think, and that is going to help release some of this guilt, help release some of this pain that I am suffering from so miserably. And that is the end of chapter 11. And chapter 12 will pick right up from that moment. Chapter 12 is going to be the minister's vigil on the scaffold. So there's chapter 11 for you. Let me know your thoughts on this chapter down below. Let me know your thoughts on Dimmesdale, specifically the source of his guilt, what you think about him not just saying, hey, I am the other equal party in this sin that Hester has been so ostracized for. And also, what are your thoughts on Chillingworth, Hester's original husband, who is keeping a false identity and wants revenge on Dimmesdale and is kind of trying to like mentally torture him, play mind games. Comment your thoughts on all that. And then, as I said at the beginning of the video, please make sure to subscribe and share. Make sure to like this video, and of course, please keep coming back for more of this English language arts content. I am genuinely trying to provide a lot of value in these, and I hope that you are receiving that. And with that being said, I hope to see you back around. Bye.